Well, hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. How are you? My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind, and I am here. Whoa, I got a little echo. Sorry about that. I am here this Sunday, as I am every Sunday, or almost every Sunday, to talk about some of the things I see going on, talk about some of the conversations I'm having. I have a really good one for you today. I've been excited about it all week. I want to talk about decisions, and I want to talk about making a decision of where you want to go before you start. I have so much to say about this, but first, I want to invite you to join us. One of the things that happens very often when people are on this journey with alcohol is they feel alone and they feel isolated, and it feels like, man, is it like only me that's struggling with this? And then on top of all of that, we're stuck, right? We're stuck with some of these ideas or thoughts or feelings that we have about ourselves and alcohol and the world, and it can feel very confusing. I want to help you with that. And I want to help you with your journey by inviting you to join Annie and I for our free 5-day virtual event. It actually starts tomorrow. Well, Monday, February 7th, which, if you're watching this live, is tomorrow. Every single day for 5 days, Annie and I are going to go live, and we are going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk about the journey. We're going to talk about the things that hold people back. We are going to be giving you some really, really key information that is going to help you shift your thinking, which is then going to allow you to make such a huge impact on your journey. So if you would like to be part of that, you can watch it live. You can watch the replays. If you would like to be part of that community, get to know other people, then I highly recommend you head on over to controlalcohollive.com. The link is in the description. You can sign up there. Again, I want to emphasize this is totally and completely free. We don't charge for this at all, but it is a great place that you can come and you can learn information, you can learn about yourself, and who knows, it might give you a perspective shift on your journey, and that could be a massive, massive leg up for you. So again, it's controlalcohollive.com. I am really excited about this. This is like one of my favorite things that we do. We're getting kicked off really soon, so I can't wait. So again, controlalcohollive.com. All the information's there, the information on everything that we're going to be doing, and how you can get signed up and how you can find the group and all of that. It's all over at controlalcohollive.com. Please join us. Awesome. So let's talk decisions. There is something, it's funny, like I have been thinking about this a lot recently, because I have a lot of conversations with people. I talk to people who are at different parts in their journey, right? They're in different places. They're working on this, they're working on that. They feel like they're stuck and they feel like they want to change. And there is a certain version of this conversation that keeps coming up over and over and over. And that's what I want to talk about today. And it revolves around this idea of a decision. So the conversation, and oh, by the way, I forgot to say this, please send in your comments, your questions, anything you want me to talk about. I'll be happy to address it as I go through here. So these conversations, right? So it'll normally be something like this. Hey, Scott, man, I know that I really want to make a change. My problem is I just don't know where I want to go, right? I don't know if I want to moderate, if I want to quit drinking altogether. I don't know. Maybe I just need to cut back. I really have no idea, but I know something has to change, right? And I'll always say to that, well, great. Here are some things that you can start with. Here are some places you can go. And this is the part where I'm like, I get frustrated, not with the person, but with the process, because the response is always like this. Well, you know what? I don't know what way I'm going to go. So I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait because, once I know, like, I really need to know at the beginning of this process where I'm going to be ending. Am I going to be quitting altogether? Am I going to be moderating? Like, once I get that figured out, then I'm going to sign up, right? Then I'm going to make this decision. And it always strikes me as, odd, right? This idea of like, oh, I need to know exactly where I'm going to go at the beginning of my journey before I even start it. And it's interesting, and really for a couple of reasons. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is that I've heard it a lot recently. I know that there's so much going on and so much happening in everyone's lives, and like it's been topsy-turvy the last few years, that like we have this idea of like, oh, I need to change this relationship, but I don't quite know how I'm going to do it, so I'm going to wait until I figure that out, and then I'm going to do it. So 2 reasons that I want to give you. If you are in this boat, I want to give you 2 things to think about that might help shift your perspective and maybe explain why I find this is kind of odd. So thing number 1 is, so many of us have drank for our entire adult lives, right? We have drank, for me, it was 15 years, right? It was a long time, right? I had more drinking time as an adult. I still do more drinking time as an adult than non-drinking time. And so when it came to the point where I had to make a decision, I had a lot of questions about what life was going to be like, right? How was I going to deal with stress? How was I going to deal with anger, or all of the things that were the reasons that I drank? And if I'm really honest, when I was drinking, I had no idea what those answers were. I had no idea what those answers were. I literally didn't know. Like, if you would ask me on day 2, Scott, what are you going to do when you get stressed out? I would have gone, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Right. And if I'd waited for an answer to that, I'd probably still be drinking. Right. We don't have a really good way, or I will put it this way, many of us don't have a really good way to understand all of the ins and outs, all of the ups and downs, all of the question marks that come from this journey, right? The journey is the thing that teaches us this. So when we sit at the beginning of the journey and we say, look, I want to go on a journey, maybe there's a few different paths ahead of me, but like I'm going down one of those paths. When we don't start, especially because of reason number 2, which I'll get into in a second, when we don't start, then we're just sitting here spinning our wheels, right? And I have seen this where people start or are at this place where they're going back and forth, and I don't really know what I want to do. And like, I really want to know what I'm aiming at before I get started. Like, and they waste time, like years, right? Sometimes it's only months, sometimes it's years. And the number of people that I talk to in our programs who say things like, man, where was this 20 years ago? I wish I'd found this 30 years ago. I wish this had been around 5 years ago when I was going through it, whatever it is, right? There is this constant idea that like, once we make the decision, whatever that decision is, right? Once we find freedom in our thoughts and all of that, then, we wish we had it a long time ago. So the first reason I find this odd is that like we expect ourselves to know where we want to go, even if we've never lived that way. My analogy for this is really simple. I have an engineering degree, right? So at 18 years old, I decided that I wanted to be an engineer. So I went to engineering school, got a mechanical engineering degree with acoustics. I don't do anything with engineering right now. And it's funny because I was thinking just today, like if you had told me, 18-year-old me, right, in 1999, that, hey, dude, you're going to eventually be a coach in an organization that helps people shift their relationship with alcohol. First of all, I would tell you, I've never had a drink, which was true at that point. Secondly, I would tell you, what the hell is a coach? Because I had no idea. And third, I would say, no, like, I feel like I want to go in this direction. I feel like I want to become an engineer. My point is this, right? The journey changes us. And that's sort of the second reason that this whole idea of like, I'm going to wait to start till I know where I'm going to go. The journey changes us. The stuff that you learn on the journey, whether it's in something like the virtual event that I was talking about earlier, or the path, right? The information you learn and the insights you have about yourself inform your future decisions. So back to me as an 18-year-old, like if there was a law, let's just go to hypothetical land here, right? There was a law that like what you decided at 18 is what you were going to be for the rest of your life. I would be a very unhappy guy right now because it turns out that engineering wasn't for me. I think it's fun. I think it's fascinating, but I spent almost 15 years in a career, like going all over the place, trying to find this out, trying to figure out like what makes the most sense. I would not have thrived, right? It's only through the lessons that I learned on this journey that I was like, wait a minute, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. Right. And I mean, no offense to any 18-year-olds who are listening, and maybe it's just me who was just totally out of his mind, but like, I don't think 18-year-olds have enough life experience to make the decision of like, oh, this is the direction I want to go in. Yes, some people do it. Absolutely. And some people are lucky, but a lot of people, myself included, need more lived time and more lived wisdom to really understand, wait, this is for me. And so I'm drawing that analogy to say the same thing is true with the alcohol journey. I see so many people who come into our programs and they say, I want to quit. I want to like full on quit. And they're totally sure. I also see a lot of people who come into our programs and say, I really want to moderate. Like, I just want to get to a place where I can take it or leave it. That's my goal, right? Fine, great. I have also seen a lot of people come in either one of those camps and totally change their mind as they go through the process, right? I've seen people come in who are just adamant about moderation. And then the more they learned and the more they dug in with themselves and the more they got connected to their emotions and connected to their thoughts, the more they recognize, wait a minute, I don't think this is the direction I actually want to go. And same thing with people who said they want to totally quit drinking. I'm thinking of a particular lady that came to mind that I coached for almost an entire year. And she spent this time saying like, I'm done. And about halfway through the year, she's like, you know what, maybe I'm not, but like, I don't know if I'm ready to moderate. And she slowly shifted her viewpoint. This is what happens on the journey, right? When we start doing this work, when we start looking at our thoughts, when we start looking at our beliefs, this is what happens. And when we do this, and this is the awesome thing, right? When we do this, what starts to happen is we get to broaden our horizons, and then we get to a place where we can make a better choice, a more informed choice for ourselves, for our life, for our family, whatever reasons it might be. So, back to my hypothetical conversations where like I hear people say like, oh, I really want to know exactly where I want to go. I really want to know like how this is going to play out, what I'm going to do, what it's going to be like. That, and I'm sorry to say this, and if you're in this camp, I mean this with all possible love. That's an excuse, right? And that's okay. I mean, Lord knows I made excuses for such a long time. So when I hear people say this, when people say like, I just want to like really know like what my goal is, and then I'll get started, I always ask them the question, what's behind that? Why? Why do you need to know? Because again, from my experience, I've seen so many people change. I've seen so many people shift. And, I've seen a lot of 18-year-olds who went to engineering school who are no longer engineers, right? This is the way life works sometimes. And so I always like dig into that question because ultimately it is the journey that helps us decide our direction, not some decision we make at the beginning. And that's why like we don't have those sort of requirements in our programs. Like if you join us, no matter what program you join us for, we don't tell you, all right, quit drinking now. We don't kick you out. We don't have a zero tolerance policy. And we certainly don't prescribe or like preach any specific way of going about this process. We don't do that because my way is different than your way. Annie's way is different than my way, right? Every single one of us are on our own journey and having some sort of requirement, some sort of direction. Yeah, I mean, when we start, we have an idea where we want to go, but that's not always the case, right? It's not always the case that we do exactly what we set out to do. I have an engineering degree. Again, I don't use it, right? That was because I found a different path, and I only found that path because I got started, right? Because the flip side of the story is this, right? Let's say I was 18 years old and I wasn't sure what I want to do. And I'm like, I don't know, like maybe I want to be a coach. Maybe I want to be an engineer. Maybe I want to be a pilot. I never wanted to be a pilot. I'm just making things up, but you can see like you could have a list of things, right? Like maybe all of those things existed. All of those things were floating around in my head. What if I said, you know what? I'm just not going to go to college till I figure that out. right? If I said, I'm just not going to start. So like, 1999, I graduate high school and I just like kind of do nothing till I figure it out. Well, you know what I would have missed out on? I would have missed out on every single thing that has brought me to the point that I am now, right? Every single experience I've had, all of college, all of the friends that I've made, all of the experiences I've had. I mean, I graduated, right? Like that was like an achievement. It's not that I use it now, but that was an achievement. But I would have missed out on all of that because I was so concerned at the beginning about getting it exactly right. Like I can't overemphasize how many people spend so much time and effort holding themselves back because they are really worried about what's going to happen in the end. Right? They are really worried about like, where am I going to end up? What is this going to be? And the really honest, like heartfelt thing that I want to say here is that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you don't know or you do know where you want to go. The only thing that matters, the only thing that you have control over right now is what you do right now. So often, people will join a program. You guys will hear me say it on here. I say it here plenty of times. Like, oh man, the important part is the journey, or the important thing is that you keep coming back, or the important thing is that you do one thing, right? You take one step. So I'm talking specifically to those of you who are letting this idea hold you back. Give yourself an opportunity to get behind that idea and say, why do I need to know? Because the reality of the situation is this, like, if you were to come to me and say, Scott, I am super positive that I want to moderate, or if you were to come to me and Scott, I am super positive that I want to quit drinking forever, the very first part of that journey is exactly the same. I'm going to tell someone who wants to moderate the same thing I'm going to tell someone who wants to quit forever. The same thing I'm going to tell someone who's signing up but doesn't know what they want to do, right? This journey happens. And unless you take the first step, right? Unless you say, look, I don't know where this is going, but I know something has to shift. Unless you like really give yourself an opportunity to step out there and learn, you're never going to go anywhere. Just like, 18-year-old me, I'd probably still be sitting where I am right now. It's probably still, or where I was when I was 18, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, right? It's because life is what's going to lead us in this direction. So if you find yourself stuck and you find yourself really confused and really worried and really unsure of what to do because of the endpoint, because you don't know what the endpoint is, because you don't know how it's going to affect your life, the only way to resolve that, is to get started. There's no requirement that you know exactly where you want to go. There's no requirement. Like no one's in it. Well, I guess it does depend on the program. I can tell you at This Naked Mind, like I'm not going to like take notes and then at the end of the year in the path be like, well, no, you told me you want to do this, right? The only requirement is that you know something needs to shift. And if you know something needs to shift, you can take steps today to get going on the process and leave the decision-making to later. I mean, the fact of it is, like, so truly, the fact of it is that you don't know what you don't know, right? You're not aware of what you're not aware of. And so if you go on this journey, if you go on a drive, I mean, if you do anything, I mean, heck, even going out for a walk, right? Like you don't really know what's going to happen until you're in it. So don't let that hold you back. You know something needs to change. You know something needs to shift. Get going. And again, like I always say, it doesn't have to be joining the path, right? You can join us for the free event I just talked about, but it doesn't have to be some, commitment of time or money or anything like that. Even just watching this video or picking up a book or talking to a friend, right? Even just journaling about it. Don't let indecision stop you from making the change you want, even if you're not totally sure what that change is, right? From starting the process to ending the process, you are going to go through a transformation. And it's some of the information and some of the things you're going to learn in that transformation that is going to help you decide what direction you want to go. So my perfectionist friends, don't let that bother you. You know that a shift needs to happen. Go ahead and take it. And I know I'm like more like directly speaking to people this time than I usually do. But like I said, I've just seen an uptick in this recently. So no matter what it is, right? No matter what change journey you're on, even if it is a walk outside, you do not need to know exactly how you're going to go, where you're going to go. You don't need to know exactly how the journey is going to have twists and turns or where it's going to end in order for you to get started. The important thing is that you start. So I hope all of that makes sense. I haven't, let's see, I haven't looked at the comments. And I really want to encourage you again to like send me some questions and comments. I got another 10 minutes or so here. Let's see, Jennifer says, when I decided to take a year off from drinking, I fully intended to drink on day 366, but the journey changed me and changed my thinking along the way. Thanks. First, hi, Jen, how are you? And second, thank you for that. I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens. I can tell you, like, I quit. I quit when I was pretty sure that I wanted to be done forever, but there was an idea in the back of my mind that I would moderate. That idea is gone now, but like it makes such a huge difference. So thank you for that example, Jen. I mean, it's so true. And what's so funny is when people let that stand in their way. I totally appreciate that example, Jen. Thank you. Anne Marie says, life is an experience. Thank you for continuing my experience and knowledge. Well, thank you for being here. Like, that's the reality, right? I mean, I'll give you another example. I was trying to decide if I should use the silly me example of college or if I should talk about my kids. Like, my son at various times has wanted to be a magician, a ninja, an astronaut. What was the other one? Race car driver, right? He's got all of these different things that he wants to be. And these are all at different times in his life, depending on what he's into. We're obviously not holding him to any of them, right? Like, he has the opportunity to explore and look around. And by the way, it's that exploring and looking around that is making him change what he wants to be, right? That's life, accumulating information and making decisions based on it, right? So that is true with the alcohol-free journey as well, or the changing your relationship with alcohol journey as well. Is like more information lets you make better decisions and dive in differently. So thank you for that. Let's see. Maria, hello, Maria. Maria says, I never knew the end point. This isn't really an end point in so many ways, but what we might know in this moment is that there needs to be a change. So we start where that change takes us, potentially take us to another change or shift. Oh, it's so true. It's so true, Maria. Like, it's funny. I often use this analogy of GPS too, but I use it for different reasons. So I'll talk about GPS and say like, all right, I want to drive. I'm in Portland, Maine, right? I want to drive to New York City. So I go into my phone and I type in New York City and it's going to ask me for the exact address. Fine. I put in the exact address. But the one thing that it needs to know specifically, more than anything else, right? It doesn't need to know the endpoint as much as it needs to know exactly where I am right now, because that's going to dictate the next turn and the next turn and the next turn, right? It's going to dictate what highway I get on next. All of that. And by the way, while I am driving, I can change the destination address. And instead of going to the Upper East Side, maybe go to the Upper West Side. Or instead of going to the Upper West Side, maybe I'm going to Queens. I've still made progress toward New York City, right? I just might be going a different way. Right? This is the thing. Like, the important thing is that I know I'm in Portland and I want to be in New York. Where exactly in New York? I don't know. All right, I'm stretching that very thin, but I think you know what I'm saying, right? This is something that is so often something that just I see people struggling with. So thank you for that, Maria. Let's see. Here we go. Anne Marie says, funny, went for a long walk with my dogs in the woods and got lost, but did find the direction on the way. Sorry, nothing to do. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see more conversations. Rosemary says, this is really useful. I used to have the end point of moderation, but after I've been alcohol free for 3 months and I'm using a flexible, curious method, I'm not sure if I will drink again. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, let alone, man, I don't know how far I want to take this, but like, let me take it another step too, right? Because I just really want to drive this point home. when we are so convinced, like, oh, I need to go in this direction, or I need to go for that direction, right? When we say things like, I never want to drink for the rest of my life, like, that's heavy, man. Like, that's heavy stuff to carry around. And the reality is, you don't control the rest of your life. Let me rephrase that. You don't control the rest of your life right now, right? Right now, what you control is today. So, like, why are we carrying the rest of that stuff with us? And what's amazing, what's incredible, is when we put down the weight of all of those other things, we have so much more brain space to, like, look around, to continue to improve our knowledge so that we can continue to make decisions that fit us really well. And who knows, down the road, maybe moderation is in the cards. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe you'll want it, maybe you won't. It doesn't matter, because the first few steps are the same. So thank you for that. Rosemarie, Linda says, I quit for 7 years, didn't struggle at all, then had a close friend pass away and start to binge drink. Why? This time I'll quit for weeks at a time with no desire for alcohol. Then all of a sudden, the desire consumes me. So heart-wrenching. Yeah, Linda, and this is a fantastic question. And there are a few things, right, that happen every time we experience, or let me put it this way. When we choose to drink, we choose to drink for certain reasons. Some of them are conscious and some of them are subconscious, right? And so very often what I see, and when I hear from people like you who are like, look, I was able to leave it behind me, but then, like, this thing happened and I just found myself drinking again. The main sort of way for you to think about this is that there's a belief somewhere, right? There's a thought somewhere around alcohol. There's a belief that, like, oh, I need alcohol to get through this thing. And maybe you've really dealt with all of the other beliefs, right? You can deal with stress, you can deal with family, you can deal with traveling, you can deal with anything else. Like, maybe you've dealt with all of those, but somewhere that belief still hides. And so this is what happens, right? Is like, we can quit for a period of time, and then it's like a speed bump. That's what I used to call it. In the path, is this idea of a speed bump of, like, oh, okay, well, I've cleared most of my way except for this one thing, right? Like, this one thing, and I don't see it and I trip over it. Now, the important thing at that point, Linda, is to not hold yourself back. It's to get back up and to keep going. And, we say this as a data point, right? We say this, and no matter what it is, and I'm sorry to hear about your friend, but then you also said, this time I'll quit for weeks at a time with no desire for alcohol, then all of a sudden the desire consumes me. Yes, right? There's something there. There's some sort of belief. There's some sort of idea. If you're in any of our programs, Linda, we can help you figure this out. We have ways and tactics to do this, but I want to be super duper clear about something. This is not your fault, right? You are a human going through this experience. You're not doing anything wrong. It's about finding the tools that are going to help you address that thing. And I know that this is hard, and I can kind of, reading in between the lines of your comment there, I can kind of see a little blame going on there, right? That you're blaming yourself, you're feeling bad about yourself. And I can tell you that, first of all, and you guys have heard me say it before, alcohol is addictive to humans. That's a complete sentence. Like, it's not some humans, it's not just those unfortunate alcoholics, it's everybody, all of us. And why it happens and how it happens is very different. It's a complex topic that I can do a live on some other time. My point is this: if you are a human, and I'm assuming that you are a human, Linda, then this can happen to you. And so this is not your fault. And so spending the time to give yourself some compassion, spending the time to letting yourself off the hook, not for, behavior going forward, but for the past, it's really going to help you free up some space to be able to do the work that you can do to dislodge and shift those beliefs, because that's ultimately what it's about. So I hope that you are giving yourself compassion, Linda. And I also want you to know you are not at all alone. This is such a common thing where people have periods where things are going great, and then they feel like, and it's funny because, did you say the word trip? I don't think you said, I guess I said the word trip. I always hear it called as, like, I got tripped up. Like, I was doing so great and I got tripped up. Yeah, it's fine. It happens. It's part of the process. The question is, how do you take the information out of it and use it going forward? Right? So thank you for telling me that, Linda. And again, I really, really, really want you to know that you are not alone. There are a lot of people in this group and other places that can help you work through this. So thank you so much for sharing. Let's see. Kelly says, I'm here for the glasses. Oh, these are new glasses. I just got these the other day. I got 2 new pairs recently. I think I might need to start like This Naked Mind for glasses buying, maybe. I have a lot of glasses. All right. Great. All right. Linda likes this. Great. Good. Awesome. Well, everybody, I got to wrap it up. I actually have to go do another live in another group in just a few minutes, but I wanted to say, to remind you of this. February 7th, which as of the time I'm recording this is tomorrow, Annie and I are kicking off a 5-day, completely, totally free virtual event where we're going to go live together every day for 5 days, and we're going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk about the alcohol journey. We're going to talk about the things that hold people back. We're going to talk about how people can move through them. And on top of all of that, it's all going to be happening in an incredible group of supportive people. We're going to have mentors in there. We're going to have coaches in there. It's going to be awesome. So I want to invite you to join us. Again, totally and completely free. You don't have to be there on time. The replays will be available. Head on over to controlalcohollive.com. That's controlalcohollive.com. Again, see the description for the link, and you can get signed up today. Again, no obligation. It's totally free. We just want to be there. We want to talk about this stuff. We want to hear from you about this stuff, and we want to spend a week just kind of exploring this together. So that is it for me, everybody. I want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's good as usual to be here. I plan on being back here next Sunday for another live. So until then, take care.